Right, lads and lasses, gather round, and let's talk about a right proper bummer of a day in motor racing history. 11 June 1955, the 24 hours of Le Mans. Picture this: sunshine, roaring engines, the thrill of the race, then bang, carnage. 83 souls perished and over 180 injured. Not the kind of numbers you like to see on a race weekend, eh? The worst day in motorsport, they call it, and for good reason. It all happened at the Circuit de la Sarthe, France, a track notorious for its high speeds. Back then, safety, luxury, mate. Think straw bales and hope. This wasn't just a bingle, mind you. This was a proper shunt, sending shockwaves through the racing world that, frankly, folks are still recovering from. Picture Mike Hawthorne, the Brit leading the race. He's coming into the pits like a bat out of hell now. Pit stops back, then we're a bit like a pub brawl, chaotic and with a distinct lack of rules. Hawthorne dives in, cutting off Lance Macklin, another racer who's forced to swerve. Behind Macklin, Pierre Levegh in his Mercedes, absolutely flying. Poor Levegh, he had about as much chance of avoiding them as a snowball in a sauna. Levegh's car, a silver projectile of doom, clipped Macklin, became briefly airborne, always a bad sign in a car, and then, well, imagine a tin can full of fireworks hitting a brick wall at 150 miles per hour. Not pretty. The immediate aftermath? Let's just say it wasn't pretty. Debris, fire, chaos. The race, surprisingly, continued for a while, probably because nobody wanted to tell the blokes in charge that their safety precautions were about as effective as a chocolate fireguard. The blame game started almost immediately. Some pointed fingers at Hawthorne's risky pit manoeuvre, others at the track's layout, which, to be fair, was about as safe as a blind man driving a forklift. The French, in their infinite wisdom, banned motor racing entirely. The Swiss, not to be outdone, banned Mercedes-Benz from their roads. It was all a bit dramatic, really. The Le Mans disaster was a wake-up call, a swift kick in the trousers to the motorsport world. It forced everyone to have a good, hard look at themselves and admit that maybe, just maybe, strapping blokes into metal death traps and letting them loose at breakneck speeds wasn't the brightest idea. Changes came, slowly at first, but they came. Tracks were redesigned, safety regulations were tightened, and pit stops became slightly less perilous. The cars themselves got safer too, with things like seat belts and roll cages becoming standard. The 1955 Le Mans disaster was a tragedy, no doubt about it, but it was also a turning point. It made motorsport safer, and for that we can be grateful. It's just a shame it took such a horrific event to make it happen.